Do you ever feel like anxiety is an undercurrent, always waiting to engulf you, even when no one is looking? When things are uncertain, when the news is full of warnings, and your mind is constantly asking unanswered questions. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, was also in the midst of a deadly pandemic, when 5 million people died, but instead of panicking, he wrote, "If it must happen, let it happen according to the natural order." And then he acted with reason, with courage, with compassion. In this video, you'll discover 5 Stoic daily habits, gleaned from philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. Simply habits that can help you defeat the anxiety that eats away at you every day, not by theory, but by action. Every step, every breath, every choice in the present. You can't control the future, but you can control your attitude right now. Let me start with the first habit that the Stoics always kept in mind whenever the world around them became chaotic. 1. Ignore the noise. Come back to yourself. Are you living or just reacting to the sounds around you? Modern life is noisy. Not just the honking of cars, the ringing of phones, or the constant flashing of news. It's the noise in your head, the judgments, the comparisons, the doubts, the expectations. Most of it isn't your voice. It's someone else's. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me that we love ourselves more than anyone else and care more about the opinion of others than about ourselves." Sound familiar? You dare not say what you think. For fear of being misunderstood, you dare not pursue what you want. For fear of being laughed at, you dare not rest. For fear of being seen as lazy, we gradually live for the eyes of others and forget the light within ourselves. Seneca once warned, "We are miserable, not because of things as they are, but because of the way we see them through the eyes of the crowd." Do you remember the last time you did something just because it felt right? Or have you been caught up in the whirlwind of expectations, of social media, of invisible standards that everyone tries to live up to, but no one really understands why? Epictetus reminds, if you seek security in the approval of others, you will become their slave. Anxiety begins when you lose your roots, when you start comparing your life with theirs, your success with theirs, your happiness with theirs. But the truth is, you can't control what other people think. You can't please everyone. No matter what you do, there will always be critics, and it's not your fault. Marcus Aurelius lived in a palace, but he kept his diary like a man trying to keep his peace in the midst of battle. He understood that keeping his mind calm in the midst of the chaos outside was the true victory. So what can you do? Stop watching content that makes you compare. Reduce the time you spend reading negative news. Create a guilt space for yourself every day. A social media-free morning. An afternoon just for writing or meditating. Guard your mind like a garden. No one can plant judgment, doubt, or fear in it. Only you can choose what stays. And when you master that, the noise will fade away, and you will hear your own voice again. 2. Practicing mindfulness, the art of returning to the present. There is a strange thing about anxiety. It doesn't live in the present. It only exists in the future you imagine, or in the past you don't let go of. The further away from the present you live, the more easy prey you become to anxiety. Marcus Aurelius, who lived in the midst of crisis, reminded us, don't let yourself be carried away by the past. Don't let yourself be pulled back by what is yet to come. Only the present truly belongs to you. Mindfulness, in the Stoic spirit, is not a complicated technique. It does not require hours of meditation, nor does it require escaping into the mountains to find peace. Mindfulness simply look at what is happening right now and ask, what is the best thing I can do in this moment? Epictetus said, it is not what happens to us that causes us suffering. It is how we react to it. When your mind wanders into bad scenarios, pull it back to your breathing, back to your steps, back to the task at hand, no matter how small. For example, you fear losing your lover. You think about the breakup that hasn't happened yet, the imaginary reproaches, the ending that makes you choke. But when you come back to the present, you can realize that they are still there. And maybe just a hug, a sincere conversation, everything will be much lighter. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca wrote, you see, mindfulness doesn't just calm you down, it also helps you act better, because when your mind is clear, your decisions are clearer. You can start with simple things. Walk without your phone. Eat without surfing the internet. Take 3 deep breaths before reacting to something negative. Ask yourself, how important is this whenever anxiety arises? If you can, take 5 minutes every morning just to breathe, or write down 3 things you are grateful for. Just like that, you will see the mind is like a lake. At first it is stormy, but then, little by little, it will calm down. Marcus Aurelius once said, a quiet mind is an impenetrable fortress. He who finds inner peace is unmoved by the outer world. And you too can build that fortress. Every breath, every moment, every conscious action. Remember, anxiety lives in your imagination, but your power is always in the present. 3. Serving others when kindness becomes a cure for anxiety. When you feel like you are in darkness, be a light to others. Here is a surprising truth that the Stoics discovered thousands of years ago. When we live only for ourselves, we are prone to anxiety. But when we live for others, our minds become clear. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, have you ever thought that helping others is not worthy of you, or that it is not worth your effort? If so, think again. During the Antonine Plague, one of the darkest periods of ancient Rome, when millions died, when the nobles and the wealthy fled the city, Marcus did not leave. He stayed. He helped bury the dead. He called in doctors, priests, workers. He visited, spoke, and he cried, not because he was weak, but because he was strong enough to feel the pain of others without running away. Seneca once said, no one can live happily if he lives only for himself. And yes, you don't have to be an emperor to help others. You don't have to have a lot of money or power. Sometimes, all it takes is a hug, a sincere greeting, An old item you no longer use. An afternoon of volunteering. Even something as simple as forgiving someone or forgiving yourself. Epictetus said, "We are not born to complain about life, but to use our lives in the service of something higher." When you serve others not for praise, but for contribution, you step out of your small self, and from there, you escape from your inner cringe, anxiety, and insecurity. You begin to see life as bigger. You begin to feel connected, the very thing anxiety tries to sever. If you are feeling lost today, ask, who needs me right now? It could be an old friend who is feeling down, a family member, or even a stranger who is waiting for a small gesture from you. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Be strong for others." It is a responsibility, not because you are not afraid, but because you choose not to be afraid. And when you choose to give, something magical happens. You receive peace in return, not from the outside, but from within you, where you know you are living up to your best human nature. 4. Serve yourself, invest in today. Don't worry about tomorrow. When we worry, we often try to control the future. We plan for every worst-case scenario. We imagine, prepare, prevent, and then imagine some more. But Marcus Aurelius said it very clearly, life is short. There is only one thing to do. Live right and live now. We live in a world called delayed return environment, an environment where most rewards come after a period of time. You work today, get paid later. You exercise today, get healthy in months. You save today, be financially secure in years. Because of that, we are constantly haunted by the future that has not yet arrived. And if we are not careful, that waiting turns into constant pressure, anxiety and fatigue. Seneca once warned, we waste the present because we live as if we were preparing to live, instead of actually living. The key here is not to ignore the future, but to shift the focus to the present, to small but powerful actions. For example, are you worried about your life expectancy? Start walking for 15 minutes every day. Are you worried about failing at work? Learn a new skill today, just for 30 minutes. Are you afraid of losing control? Establish a clear and peaceful morning routine. Epictetus said, happiness and freedom begin when you stop worrying about what is beyond your control and focus all your energy on what you can do today. The world may be chaotic, the future may be uncertain, but if you can control your morning, your meals, your sleep, you have created a solid foundation for inner peace. Marcus Aurelius didn't just write philosophy, he took action. He sold his own possessions to feed his army. He personally organized burials during the pandemic, and he kept a diary every night. To remind himself of what was important, he didn't wait for the world to change. He started with himself, every day. Little by little, you can too. Today, instead of letting anxiety paralyze you, ask yourself, what can I do right now to serve myself with kindness, integrity, and effectiveness? It could be taking a break. It could be reading a page of a book. It could be saying no to something that drains you. It's not selfish. It's about taking care of your inner roots. You can't help anyone else if you're falling down yourself. and you can't control your life. If you can't control your day. 5. Everything is just history repeating. Do you ever wake up with a vague feeling of unease? Nothing specific is happening, but inside you, something is stirring. Acute anxiety, like something is about to break, but you don't know what. Anxiety often comes from a feeling of helplessness, when you don't know what's going to happen next. When you feel like things are getting out of hand, and then you start imagining worst-case scenario. Job loss, loved ones leaving, body getting sick, world falling apart. But Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, had faced a real pandemic, not an imaginary one. Real death. Millions. But he writes, whatever happens, remember this, it's the same old story. It's happened before. It's happening again. It's nothing new. Stop and think about that. We are afraid because we believe what we are going through is too special, too chaotic, too bad. But Stoicism reminds, nothing is new. Everything from loss to war, from loneliness to illness, has happened, and then it has passed. Seneca once wrote, nothing is too terrible once we get used to it. Nothing is too new once we understand its nature. Are you afraid of failure? Others have failed and got back up. Are you afraid of losing a loved one? Everyone has lost someone and still kept going. Are you afraid of illness? The body will fail, but the spirit can stay strong. Epictetus emphasized that it is not the circumstances that trouble us, but the way we think about them. When you realize you are just a part of the great cycle of history, the fear begins to diminish. Anxiety is when you forget that humans have survived thousands of times of chaos and still continue to live, continue to love, continue to create. Stoicism is not cold, it is sober, not panicking at the inevitable, not being crushed by things that have happened and will happen again. Today, if you are feeling insecure, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius, don't let the future overwhelm you. You will face it as you did the present when it comes. Your mind is strong enough to endure as long as you live in the present, and don't let yourself drift away into the terrible illusions of the future. Anxiety will always be there. It is a part of human life, but you don't have to be controlled by it. You can choose another path, the path of sanity, the path of the Stoic. You don't have to become a philosopher. You just have to start with one small daily habit. Realize that everything is repeating itself and that you are stronger than you think. Ignore the noise that doesn't belong to you. Return to the present, the only place where you have true power. Take care of yourself through disciplined and compassionate action. And finally, serve others, as Marcus did. In the midst of the empire's crisis, Epictetus once said, "You are not a victim of this world, unless you choose to see yourself as such." So what will you choose today? Thank you for joining me on this journey to calm your mind. If this content has helped you feel better, please share it with someone who needs it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue discovering the power of Stoic philosophy, profound, practical, and healing. You are not alone, and you can always start over from within. See you in the next video.